I'm Sammy Jo Tracy, and you guys are listening to Pro Lacrosse Talk.
On Schreiber.
Sidearm whip, scores!
Now it's Spunk. Padel scores! Hands off for Rabel, switches hands and scores!
Carly O'Miller showing off those shifty skills.
Right off the bat, there's Lyle Thompson. There it is! It's snapped in! Sammy Jo Tracy!
Welcome to Season 2 of the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast, the voice of Pro Lacrosse. I'm Hutton, he's Adam, and together we're bringing you interviews from all your favorite players and coaches, as well as news and analysis from all 4 professional lacrosse leagues. We're here with Sammy Jo Tracy, 2-time national champion with UNC, and now midfielder with the WPLL Pride. Sammy Jo, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. No, we're excited to have you on. We're trying to get more WPLL guests on, especially, while you guys are on hiatus. I think it's still important to talk about the women's game. We're looking forward to you guys' return in 2021. Before we get into WPLL, let's talk a little bit about your upbringing. You come from a lacrosse family. Your dad was an All-American at Maryland. Tell us a little bit about growing up in Westchester County and picking up the lacrosse stick for the first time.
Bedford was definitely, there was not a lot of lacrosse at all. Mm-hmm. So my dad actually took it over. I remember him coming off the train from New York City and taking off his shoes, but had the whole business attire. Mm-hmm. He was like one of the first guys to ever coach. Taught us all boys lacrosse, and even though we were girls, so everyone's like, no, you cannot check, you can't hit girls, and so definitely a rough and tough kind of upbringing. And we played a lot in the backyard. It was really awesome to have him around. And then there was kind of no clubs around, so I traveled to New Jersey, and I'm so thankful for my mom and the women who would drive those 2 hours just so I can play on a club team. So super lucky. And then Fox Lane wasn't really known for lacrosse at all, and played as an 8th grader, and I was actually really tiny. So I was like really tiny, and we won our first league, and then we ended up the next year and 2 years after that playing against Garden City, which was like the highlight of they were the Mecca, right? So getting to there was a huge accomplishment, and the small group of us that my dad coached kind of came up, so we grew a lot together. We knew our strengths and weaknesses, and we were able to go to states, which was super cool.
It's awesome. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. You went from a school that maybe wasn't well known for lacrosse to one of the biggest women's lacrosse programs in the nation, right, at Chapel Hill and UNC. So what really went into your decision to go to UNC and play for Coach Levy?
For me, it had like the total package, and you close your eyes and think of what college should look like. I think Chapel Hill embodies that like little kid idealist of college. Also the fact that it was such a great sports school, but what really attracted me was that they were so close to winning, and they haven't won yet. And I think that was, I like really wanted a challenge. So it was like go to a dynasty or, possibly make one. So, and then being able to become underdogs and then become a top tier team. And I think that was something that was really interesting to me. And Jenny, that you could see that Jenny had that, like she was right there. And then with Katrina Dowd, like throwing that into the mix, it was just, and Phil and my freshman class just was a perfect storm. So.
Perfect storm for sure. I mean, you guys got off to a hot start. You ended up going all the way to the championship and winning in triple overtime off your game-winning goal. Talk to us about that moment.
That was definitely one of the craziest moments of my life. I had a really tough year as a freshman because I was starting, and then I actually got a foot injury, and I believe everything happens for a reason because I was only allowed to play a certain amount of minutes a game. So instead of being on the field, I came off the sideline, and it put me when Megan Ward did that big stuff, it put me in perfect position to score the winning goal. And I'm number 13. It was 2013. I scored the 13th goal to win it. On May 26th, which is 13 plus 13, and exit 13 was where Villanova was off. So I think.
So pretty much 13 is not an unlucky number for you. It's a pretty lucky number for you.
After that moment, for sure.
Yeah. And you end up, going back to the title game. You just sat out a season with that injury. You end up going back to the title game 2 years later and losing to Maryland. And then you guys won again that final year, or that following year against Maryland for your second title. So talk to us a little bit about getting back there 2 years later, falling to Maryland in that championship game, and then beating them again your junior season, your redshirt junior season.
That 2015 season was a battle, and we went through a lot as a team and grew. And I think we really thought like that was the team that was going to do it all. And we falling short by one, and again being up by a lot, and then Maryland coming back. I pulled my hamstring during that game, and I felt like I could not contribute as much as I should have. And we did make some minor mistakes that we went back the next year angry and with a chip on our shoulder, and we did X, Y, and Z wrong, and we really went to the drawing board. But the funny thing is that 2016 it was such a journey, and we lost a lot of people to injury, and we lost a lot of games, and we won by one in overtime a lot. We had I think several games where we won by one, right? And so everything was just like a nail biter and a battle, and I think that's what actually prepared us to win. Like we had that extra gas in the tank, and that chip on our shoulder. We had Marie McCool. I had just a stacked team that we didn't really get as much accolades as we should have, and I think it just all fueled us to push through.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys got it done. Yeah.
Awesome.
We were pissed.
I was actually covering that game your freshman year for one of the papers down in Baltimore, and I was in the press box, and that was one of the most absurd games to just be in the press box for and witness the triple overtime. Obviously, the other two games are fantastic too, but that triple overtime, that's one I'll remember forever.
Me too. And I just how late it was.
Yep.
I remember after they're interviewing me, and I was like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, and it was 11:30. It just had no concept of time.
Yeah.
It was just so wild. I was wild. Thinking about it now, and just we looked back at the film.
Yeah.
I've never really fully watched it, but I should have passed to our number one scorer on the doorstep, but I decided to shoot it from outside the 8, which is just definitely something I would do. And Jenny was
awesome.
It worked out though. It worked out.
I think the goalie was shifting towards Abby.
Yeah.
That's what kind of got her, because she's like, "What is this freshman gonna pull the trigger from so far?" And so people were preparing for that.
That's perfect. That's awesome. So let's transition to what you're doing now with the WPLL. You played for 2 seasons with the Pride, the first inaugural season, which was awesome, and last year as well. So talk about your experience in the pros so far a little bit.
I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity. I think it's really cool. We're all super involved, and I think all the players are bought into building women's lacrosse and women's sports in general. So it's been super fun. I get to be just as creative. It's definitely a different vibe. The structure, because everyone is so great, it's extremely competitive, and they kind of let us go with just ideas instead of more so concepts. And so it is a little different, the structure, but I've been having a great time. I never thought I'd be friends with some of these girls, because
Yeah.
they were my enemies.
Yeah.
I'm going through some, because I post on Instagram these old photos. One of my good friends is Molly Stevens, but we used to battle against each other all the time. And it's, and so it's just cool to see how far we've come.
Sure.
And, everyone's building each other's brand, and how can I help everyone, and just watching it grow. It's been really cool and different.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And unfortunately, COVID-19 has kind of put a damper on this summer. You guys aren't going to play this summer, but you will return in 2021. But tell us a little bit about your emotions when you heard the news that you guys weren't going to have a season this summer.
Well, I was in LA and I was really starting to pick up my training and preparing for the summer, because I think, 2 summers ago, I wasn't lifting as much and I got knocked around. So last season I was all about, building up strength and becoming kind of a different player than I was in college. So I was prepping super hard, sprinting, just kind of changing my momentum. And I was extremely bummed. I was super shocked. Everything was, when everything was going down, like the college canceling, I guess I'll never forget it. It was like a Thursday and it just was one after the other. And I was coaching high school lacrosse, so I felt so bad for those girls. But at the same time, I thought it was only 2 weeks. And then when I figured everything was going to end, I was, I don't really look at the negative. I kind of look like, okay, what can I do to help keep our pro league alive and, flourish? What should be my next mindset to shift? So how can I help my teammates and their brands? How can I, help like myself? So I'm just trying to shift goals, also take a break with my body. I think it's like never really had a full break. So I'm trying to be kind to myself. And when I have to start really ramping it up, I'll do that. Try not to hurt myself. It's always like, don't hurt yourself.
The ebbs and flows. Yeah.
Well, and kind of going off of that a little bit, kind of growing the brand of you, your teammates in the league. You guys have been doing the WPLL Plus digital platform, that league launch, which is awesome. So talk a little bit about your work with that digital platform.
I love it. I do get intimidated by Zoom. I'm just really not technological savvy. And also I'm so good with, working with the kids, and sometimes I'm better at, showing and using my hands. So it's definitely been a switch, but getting that personal interaction and seeing all the girls on there it really fills my cup up, and I hopefully do the same for the girls. And I feel like, that rush that I usually get, that I've missed from coaching. So I'm so grateful they gave me that platform and made it a lot easier for the girls who have trouble. They take care of all the logistics, and I can go out there and do what I do best. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, and go off a little bit of that too. You are the head person of the Draw Academy. Kind of partnered with Greg Gurenlian with the Face Off Academy. You guys do events together. How difficult has it been then to kind of reach these young athletes now that we are kind of forced to go in a more digital route, and a lot of these in-person things have been canceled? How have you kind of adjusted?
Well, first thing I always do is call Greg. I always call Greg, and I'm like, okay, so he's so great and has such a sharp mind for being really innovative. And he's like, so this is what I'm doing. And I take it all in, and I'm like, okay, now put it into girl mode. How am I going to girl it up? And he has really pushed me to be super creative and always pushing me to get I love Instagram, and it's like a love-hate kind of battle, because being a girl, the content is different. The way guys look at it versus what girls look at is so different. So he really is just like, get out there, you be creative, you can always send it to me and give good feedback. So I'm so lucky to have a mentor like that. And so I've been really trying to put tips online, trying to do tip every Thursday on my Draw Control Academy, try to show what I'm doing working out wise, even though it's very different than what I would be doing prepping for a season. Trying to be supportive for girls and be there and be a role model and show what I'm interested in and what I'm doing. So trying to open up more, where I used to, even though I am someone on Instagram, I do keep a lot private, and trying to open up and be more of myself on social media, because I do feel like some girls think I am not the same. So trying to be my authentic self is sometimes scary. So this, especially with the amount of followers I have, I do get nervous. So just kind of coming out and being myself more.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to put yourself out there, but going back a little bit too with the Draw Academy, talk a little bit what you're doing right now, but tell us a little bit about how you started that and how has it been running it, these past couple of years. What's the reception you've gotten from, younger players that have participated in your events?
So I was going into my 5th year and summer, and we just won, and Jojo Marasco is like a good friend of mine. He used to give me lessons all the time because he's from Somers, and he was in the Lizards locker room, and I guess Greg was like, I need a draw girl. Like, I'm getting big enough that's my next phase. And he's like, you should give him an email. Or like email him. So I was like, all right, I'll email him. And I guess I was so generic in my email that he thought I was a parent. And he was like, look at the website. And I was like, Jojo, I don't think he needs me. And
oh my God.
So I was like, and then I emailed him again saying, I'm not a parent. Like, I'm JoJo's friend. I'm at Carolina. I was a lot less generic. And then he's like, oh, we need to meet. And then from there, I spent my whole 5th year building the Draw Control Academy. So I went to a bunch of his draw days, took notes, and I'm like, how can I do that? And then I think I beat my own personal record for draw controls, which was on top of the UNC. So he elevated my game by pushing me extra hard and learning, because women's lacrosse, we don't focus on it as much as we did back then. And being repetitive is super hard sometimes, just doing the same things over and over, which I think face-off guys are really good at. Whereas I think we could be better at, doing that all week, the same thing. But so I started building my stuff just based off of him and creating drills using whatever I thought was fun, and then I started traveling all over, and I was getting huge numbers, and then sometimes I'd get really small, and just to keep fighting. And I feel like I went to places consistently. Then I got asked to go overseas. So I went to Germany, which was super fun, and did some draw stuff, and did some draw stuff in Japan through the WPLL. So I went to almost, I'm getting close to the 50 states.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm missing a couple, but I got to meet a ton of people from all over and teach the draw, and I feel like I've really touched girls and they've touched me. So I'm super lucky for everything.
That's great. Talk about growing the game. You're doing it, with going to all those states. And then one final question before we move on to our 5 and 5 segment is, how's the collaboration been with Greg been? Because he's kind of taken some ideas from the women's game and tried to adopt them into the men's game, and then vice versa. So how have you guys kind of been, soundboard for each other in throwing back ideas on how we can improve the game of lacrosse?
We're always talking, and our group is always, it's not just Greg and I, it's, Trevor and Brendan and Jerry, especially. Jerry's like super innovative. And I think having a woman and having like a man in my corner has been super helpful, and just like pushing boundaries and, being myself and maybe trying new things. So I'm super lucky that I have him, and I have that group of guys that are really like, like my security guard and everything. So it's been super interesting to have someone like that that's really changed the game for the better. It's been wonderful. Yeah,
no, that's awesome. Well, we'll take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then we'll go into our 5 and 5 segment. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast. Today I want to talk to you about our sponsor, Anchor. We've been using Anchor for the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast since the very start. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, and better yet, it's free. They allow you to easily record and edit your podcast, and once it's published, they send it out to all the major networks such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. They also connect you with advertisers so you can start making money from your podcast right away. So if you're thinking about starting a podcast today, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Today I also want to talk to you about our affiliate, Lacrosse Jewelry. Lacrosse Jewelry features a diverse line of lacrosse-inspired rings, necklaces, and bracelets, so you can show your lacrosse pride and style both on and off the field. Better yet, we've teamed up with Lacrosse Jewelry to provide you with a special discount. Simply visit laxjewelry.com and use the code PROLACROSSE to save 10% on your order today. All right, so welcome back. So let's dive into our 5 and 5. The first one I'll ask you is, what are your top songs on your game day playlist when you're getting ready for your games?
I really like really ghetto or like dubstep.
Okay.
So it's like Zed's Dead or like I love DaBaby or like it's just I get like a lot of moods or like Machine Gun Kelly and
Okay. Like it.
and then I like hard rock and roll. So I
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
whatever
Changes.
gets my head banging, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. That's what we're looking for. More of like, what gets you going. Some people are the opposite. They like to, kind of calm their nerves or whatever. I was always the person that needed like something to get me going. I was always like the, loud, heavy rap or, rock or whatever. But
Anytime Bop comes on, I'm ready to go.
He's like,
we had one guy though who you would have thought was like, when he was on the field, he was an animal on the field, and you would have thought he listened to something like similar, and he would listen to classical music before he get ready for games and stuff. So you would never peg him as that, but you just never know. But moving on to number 2, who was your favorite lacrosse player to watch when you were growing up?
Mark Matthews.
Okay, yeah, well, that's a good one.
I was obsessed with one-handed catches in front of the cage. I was like, that's what I want to do. And for a girl, it was Katrina. So it's been so crazy to have Katrina, be my idol and my mentor, and now we're friends. So we've been through like 3 stages of my life at least.
Yeah.
But she was always pushing both those two, and she likes to play like Canadian anyway. So
no, that's awesome.
Anything that's super tricky is what I love.
Yeah, that's great. And then going off of that, kind of along the same lines, but a little bit different, who's your favorite lacrosse personality on social media right now? It can be a guy, a girl. Who's somebody that you think is like really doing a good job on social media?
I think anything Trevor does is hysterical.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of him. And then the fact that he lives with Rambeau, just like, and then I think Alex Ost is doing an incredible job. Getting herself out there, because I just know how hard it is to push content like that constantly and like to be silly, because sometimes I'm just like, I am a really silly person, but it takes a lot, so I commend her for it.
Crushing
no, absolutely. Yeah, her TikToks, she's been doing a lot of the fitness videos and stuff. I think those two, her and Trevor, definitely. The combination of Trevor Rambeau, and then you got Blaze in there too. It's just hilarious to have all those guys living
when
together.
I do stuff with Trevor, it's just like the things that come out of his mouth, and it's just like, where do you get this from? Because we're the 2 kids. Like, it's like Jerry and Greg are the parents, and the 2 kids in the back are me and Trevor. And anything Trevor says just makes me laugh to no end.
Yeah.
And the 2 dads are like, kids, what are you doing back there?
That's so funny. So you guys have that dynamic.
Yeah.
Going off of that, what's your current lacrosse stick set up in terms of shaft, head, and stringing?
I am a Maverick athlete.
Okay.
And they do such a good job with the ascent that I just kind of beat it in, and it has a great pocket in the back and in the front. And for me, it's super important that it's like a stiff head.
Yep.
I get mushed through all the time. Like, oh, Sammy's winning. Let me just tear through her stick completely so it just flies out of my way. So to have like a firm head is really important to me. And it's light because I need to grab it with one hand. So.
Yep. Yeah, and those one-handed shots and pickups and stuff that you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Final question for lacrosse-related ones. What has been your favorite venue to play lacrosse at?
I loved playing in Philly and playing in the soccer stadium. The water, PPL, and the water, it's like small enough because it's hard with lacrosse, small enough. So definitely that, and winning a championship there was really cool. and I got involved in the MLS. I worked there at NYCFC, so I knew like what was going on kind of in there. So it connected to me a lot.
That's awesome. Well, Adam is he's a Philly native, and he was a big Union fan. So
No!
So that's like that's a perfect answer for Adam.
Yeah, well, you have the best of the Union pretty much. Like we'll beat you in the regular season, then we'll play at Citi Field or wherever now, right? You guys are, and then you'll smack us in the playoffs.
Citi Field with Yankee Stadium.
Didn't play the didn't they? Because the Yankees were in the playoffs last year. Didn't the playoff game? Wasn't it at Citi Field last year because of the conflict or something?
I don't know.
I could be wrong. I don't remember, but I just remember it was played in one. I know you guys played at Yankee Stadium for the most part, but
it's difficult because the field is so. I know all the fields. It's so
crazy.
different.
Yeah.
They also play in the Patriot Stadium as well.
Yep.
So so it's just like the turf and they always want to play on grass.
Yep.
I got all the soccer lowdown.
I can imagine. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that another time. Very, very cool. So this will be a good first one for the non-lacrosse. So who's a non-lacrosse athlete you think would excel at the sport? Could be a soccer player.
They're so bad with their hands sometimes. That is so good. Okay. Like girl or boy?
Yeah, whoever
Anybody.
you think. Yeah.
Yep.
Ashlyn Harris would be, I know her really well, and she has really good hand-eye. Actually, yeah, so she's a soccer player. So I would say she would do really well because she's super aggressive, and it would be different for her. I wouldn't put her in the goal. I would definitely like put her on the field.
Yeah. She wouldn't be scared though to get between the pipes, I don't think. She would be a defender that dive right in and take yeah, absolutely. You would crush it. That's awesome. All right, number 2. What are some hobbies or activities you enjoy doing when you're not on the field?
I love hiking and doing yoga. I'm a yoga instructor, and I do yoga every day. And I love walking, more so walking than anything. It really is something that I have to do every day to clear my mind. And then I love to travel, it's been so weird. My bags are still unpacked, not unpacked. But I'm traveling constantly. I love being on the plane. I love traveling and seeing the airport, new city, the culture, what kids are into. It's just everything that goes along with traveling. So it's good for me to have a break.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But kind of speaking of the travel side of things, it worked perfectly. What's your favorite spot to vacation? It could be from far away or close to home.
I get conflicted between the beach and mountains sometimes, but I would have to say my favorite place to vacation would be Greece, or somewhere in Spain where you get like the beach and the city and the culture. And I love that Europe has like, when you walk in, it's like you can go from like 2020 all the way back to BC. I love being like in a culture like that, and it's like sometimes it's frozen in time. So
Cool. Number 4, what's your favorite meal, and do you prefer to take out or cook at home?
The reason I love Japan is that you can eat sushi, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if I could, I would. Yeah. But I have to do takeout because if anyone who knows me, I am the worst cook ever. I try all the time. I'm super impatient, and I always get demoted to dish duty. So I'm really good at cleaning the dishes, everyone.
There we go.
So definitely takeout, definitely sushi.
Okay, sounds good.
Got it.
And then number 5, this is a 2-parter. So what's a book or podcast you'd recommend to a teammate or friend? And since we're all quarantined, everyone's binging a lot. So what's a show that you've been watching currently that you would recommend?
I'm watching currently Peaky Blinders.
Okay, that's so good. That's so freaking good.
It's so good. It's like still kind of slow, but it's starting to pick up. I have to watch like with my family. I'm not a TV aloner kind of person because I have many questions. And so I like the interaction. And I watch The Crown. So I'm really into like European, and Yellowstone. If any, that's one of my favorites. Gotta watch that one. So what I'm watching is Peaky Blinders. What I would recommend is Yellowstone. That's the best. I guess it's both mobster. One's mobster out west, one's in England.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And then, I love to read. The Great Alone is really good for girls because it's a mother-daughter story, but it's really intense. And then The Nightingale is for everyone. Or 1,000 White Women. I read a lot, so it's those
great.
Are really great books. The 1,000 White Women I read the same time as my dad, and we're just mowing through it. It's about something that would have happened, but I can't tell you.
Okay. All right.
Then we'll definitely pick it up though.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
It's about Native Americans. I'm really into that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it's about a woman's story, so it's insane. So
definitely we'll have to check it out for sure. We were always adding to our list. That's kind of part of the reason we asked that question is we do want to know about your reading interests, but we also are trying to build our list up a little bit too.
Everyone is. I feel like Netflix, I'm like, thank goodness we found Peaky Blinders because we were like, we were doing The Last Dance and we were like, now it's done. So we were like, okay, let's watch Bad Boys and Dennis Rodman, 30 for 30, just anything that kind of, built the story more, I guess.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh no, what do we do now?
Yeah. No, we definitely need some more of those type of documentaries out there.
So are you a Knicks fan then?
So my godfather played for the Suns and the Jazz. So he's in the he's in The Last Dance. He lost.
Oh, wow. That's a funny nugget. I didn't know that though.
So yes, my godfather is Tom Chambers, and he's a cowboy that plays. That's a 7-foot cowboy with a mullet that plays for the Suns, and you see him losing. He actually gets toasted. Michael just like ties him up in it. Man. So he's so mad if I'm saying this, but so it's fun, and my parents know like a ton of the people because of that connection.
Sure.
So
gotcha. No, I only say that because there's a documentary about Stephon Marbury that I just found. It's called A Kid from Coney Island. That's really good. So
my mom's from Coney Island.
There you go. It might be a good one for her then.
Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. More recommendations. See, there's the next Last Dance that you can watch.
Yeah.
Perfect.
This has been awesome, Sammy Jo. We really appreciate you coming on. It's been great hearing about what you guys are doing, kind of during this hiatus and how you can engage with the fans, because I think it's really important. So my final question for you is, what is some advice that you have for a young player looking to one day play lacrosse professionally?
I would say have so much fun. And the more fun you have, the more creative and the more loose you play. So you need to take a break, and it's not being fun. Take a break because this is the time, and then dive back into it. The way you get to the top is it's your obsession and it's your true love. So, know when to take the breaks and know when to really dive in.
No, that's awesome. I think that's great advice, especially during this time. Really appreciate you coming on. It's been a lot of fun for us. I hope it was a lot of fun for you.
Yeah.
And, best of luck taking that break and then preparing, for 2021.
Thank you.
Today I also want to talk to you about Tomahawk Shades. Tomahawk Shades have an array of both quality sunglasses and blue light glasses at a fraction of the cost of popular sunglass brands. Their blue light glasses are perfect for guys like me who spend hours looking at a computer screen when editing. They also have a great collection of sunglasses with pro athletes like Kylie Ohlmiller, Kyle Harrison, Mike Chanichuk, and Chris Hogan repping the brand. So if you want a pair of the shades the pros wear, visit TomahawkShades.com and use the code PLT20 to save 20% on your order today.